Hello everyone, welcome to the new episode of Professionals Unplugged. I am your host Utkarsh Shukla, and today we have Auroriele with us. So Auroriele, thank you so much for joining in.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with a very basic question. Can you please introduce yourself to our audience, like who you are, what work you do, anything you want us to know about you?
Sure, yeah. My name is Auroriele. I'm from Northern California. I'm a B2B messaging and email strategist. So I help B2B and B2B SaaS brands get to know their audience through customer interviews with a jobs to be done emphasis so that they can build trust in crowded categories and channels and make people love their products.
It's a very short and very crisp intro that you have just given us, right? And talking about message strategist and email strategist, right? So what was the main point that you have chosen this career, or has this career chosen you? So can you just tell us the story behind this?
Well, I've always been creative and always been a strong writer. And so, ever since I was in grade school, teachers read my papers to the class and just really excelled at it, won like the writing award at my college. And so that was the natural path. Of course, journalism graduated in like 2009. It was a tough time for journalism with the internet disrupting media commodification, right? And so content marketing was blowing up. Every business was, digital transformation was just beginning for a lot of companies. And so, after a year not really making money interning as a journalist, I wanted to find something more lucrative. And so I got into content marketing and did that for about 10 years. And then I discovered like conversion copywriting and just loved it. So much more creative and strategic than informational content, right? Not that content marketing could be fun too. And that got me in more into email marketing and messaging. Like I learned conversion copywriting from Joanna Weeb, and like the cornerstone of what she teaches is to do customer research and interview customers and basically do the messaging work of like what to say based on what customers care about. And so always doing messaging, but I think with the AI disruption and more, especially in these tough economic times, a lot more companies using AI for writing have really done more messaging for clients these days. And that's really important. You shouldn't be asking AI what to tell your customers, right? You should be asking your customers what they want to hear. And so I'm glad to see that messaging is becoming so important, and I really love it, and I've always loved it just as much as writing. And then email marketing. I just love how personal it is. When you write a homepage or you plan a homepage, it has to speak to everybody or it has to speak to like all of your potential audience. And that's a that's a tall order. And so it can't be as specific as you want it. It's always, in my opinion, the easiest and the funnest in marketing when you know exactly who you're talking to, and there's nothing beats email, right? It's the digital version of a personal letter to someone. Yes, you're scaling it in B2B, but ideally you're segmenting and you're still talking to like a group of people who have similar pains and goals and interests. So I think that's what I love about email marketing and the personalization. You can personalize so much more through segmentation. And so, if you really want to dial your message and then be able to, know exactly who you're talking to and what to say, then email is just the best channel for that.
Correct. I totally agree with you. And there is one point that you mentioned in between of the disruption of AI in today's world and people using AI to help them write a message to their customers, right? So do you think with the new things coming up and people are using more AI for writing their content rather than using a content writer or say someone who is well with the business or someone of your role, right? So how do you take the use of AI nowadays? Because most of our email are now written by AI, right?
I
Around
don't know.
yeah,
Oh, do you know a percentage?
yeah. So I was not sure of percent, but yeah, more than 50% of the people are now using AI to correct their emails or to write it up in order to have make more sense, right? So what's your take on this, and how do you see the industry evolving with this?
I think it's the Wild West right now. These AI companies are making big claims like replace your humans. And of course, CFOs and CEOs hear that, especially as we're in this tough economic time. And they're like, heck yeah, right? And so, and they're not marketers, they're not creatives. And so you're seeing a lot of blind replacement and adoption, or, just like, let's restructure the team, which is like basically fire people and try to make other people do more with AI. And yet, on the flip side, I'm in a lot of marketing communities, and you hear things like, we're a lean team, we're a lean content team, and they gave us AI. How do we scale our content ops? Like, how are you guys doing it? And the best answer I heard someone say is like, you can write better in the same amount of time with AI, or you can write worse in less time. And that's totally true because AI is, I think, the common misconception. It's like push a button and like give me an email campaign in 1 minute. And like, maybe that's how the C-suite thinks it works. But that's not how it works. And, you know, um, what happens is people who don't know end up scaling lazy marketing. So lazy marketing before was to skip the research, to skip the planning, to skip the creative and critical thinking, skip the customer interviews, and to just guess and copy and pay, like, throw things on the page and push it out, right? That was lazy marketing without AI. Lazy marketing with AI is AI goes and scrapes the internet and, uses its training to, it's derivative, right? It's gonna give you something very derivative and that sounds like everything else, and that's not very aligned with, may not be very aligned with your audience. And so that's what AI, the downside of it is that there's a lot of people who don't know, or maybe they know and they don't have time and resources, or they don't have the energy and they're just scaling lazy marketing. And so that happens a lot. Or you have these, I see a lot of just teams frustrated because they have leadership expectations to that this magical tool will scale output, you know, and reduce costs, but teams are still figuring out how to do that because of the chasm between like AI expectations and AI reality is so wide right now. Like, have you worked with AI much? Like, it's not an end-to-end solution. Like, the best way to do it is to do a lot of the plan. They can help you plan. It can act as a sounding board. It can help you research about your audience, but you still need to do a lot of that externally, talking to your audience, interviewing them. And so the painstaking 80% of the work of planning any marketing is right there in the research and planning and strategy. And 20, and the writing was always 20% of it.
Correct.
And so yeah, so I think we're just in this interesting time where a lot of people are being forced to adopt it, or they want to adopt it, and that's good. It's helpful. It's efficient. It's like a force multiplier, but it's not an end-to-end solution.
Correct. And how do you use AI in your day-to-day life? Like, how much or what tools are you using it, or for what task you are using it for?
I think like everybody else, I'm trying to figure out how to use it, how to get more out of it, how to become more efficient with it. So I find it like a force multiplier. If I'm writing a page, like a landing page or email sequence, we're human, we get tired, we run out of ideas. And so I take what I want, like I take the voice of customer and the copy framework and like what I want to achieve with it. I ask AI to do it. Typically the first output will suck and I'll say like, hey, do that 100 more times. And then I'll look through a list of 100 ideas and I'll cherry pick pieces of what it's created. And that will give me a starting point and some pieces to use to put into my product. So I think it's great because it helps with just the natural human fatigue of being creative for an entire workday, right? And critical and creative thinking all day. So that's, I think, the biggest in the realm of like content production. I think that's how it helps me the most. But beyond that, I use it with like voice of customer data. I do customer interviews. And so I'll look through like first I might run it through AI and have it pull out buyer journey insights. And then it often doesn't pull out like the complete insight. So I use it like a roadmap. Like, okay, let me search the document, the transcript based on this clip it pulled and make sure I got all the context. So it can shave hours off of organizing customer research. And then there's just a lot of other ways, asking it questions when you're researching, using it as a sounding board. So,
Yeah, that completely makes sense. And if I ask you, what were the biggest challenges that you face in your day-to-day life, or any challenges that you have faced in past, if you can name us few?
I think, being a creative, I think I've had like technology really disrupt my career trajectory twice, like the internet really disrupted journalism and media, and that's what I went to school for. When I got out of school, like the media hadn't unified around the paywall yet, and so they still hadn't cracked the code on how to commodify their media. And so, for example, I went to Internet Los Angeles magazine, and they had just laid off all of their staff writers. And a lot of those that were left were contractors, including professors I'd had. So, that was really discouraging to graduate, with these big hopes and dreams and then kind of see the industry gutted by the ramifications of the internet. And so that was the first time. But then, whenever it closes a door, it opens another one. So content marketing was booming. So I did that, and it gave me a vehicle to still be a creative and still write. And now, AI has disrupted the creative fields quite a lot too, and there's not, we're pre-regulations, we're pre everybody figuring out what it's actually good at, and it's just like this huge, it's like this boom town of like charlatans and big promises, right? Like it reminds me of other eras like that. Um, because just some of the claims these AI companies make in their marketing, like replace your humans, like I don't think that's I don't think that's very accurate based on everyone I talk to what the AI can really do. So I think that's challenging now though. Like it's but one door has closed, I do a lot less writing, and another has opened, I do way more messaging, and I love that just as much. And so I think it's helpful to be optimistic and when things like that happen, because there's usually two sides of it, right?
Correct. And any stories that you like to share from your life that can be from your personal or professional life that you think should be heard?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the story unfolding in front of me is fascinating. The story of AI, as I've just reflected on, and I think the world is in a really transitional transitional place right now. I think everyone can agree uh it's a bit mind-blowing, And so I think the story unfolding in front of me is fascinating and scary. And but because so much is changing, there's also room for change. Like the kind of change that you can hope for. Because when everything is stuck in place, then the changes you want to make don't seem as probable. So yeah. I mean, what do you th I think? What do you think of the story of the world unfolding right now? It's pretty riveting. Like I think the news is probably more riveting than it's been in years.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on this point. And talking about your career till now, so what are the advices that you follow in your life and that you like to share with the people watching it?
Like the advice or the advisors?
Advice.
Oh, yeah, I think you have to work 10 times harder these days. You have to constantly be learning new skills because especially in marketing and technology, like it's all changing all the time so quickly. And so, yeah, I think constantly be learning, constantly be pivoting and agile, work hard and have grit, like because I think that's what it really takes to keep moving fluidly through the market.
Right. And talking about your dreams, so what's your main dream at this point of your life?
I've always wanted to have an agency, you know. I love being a contractor. I love the freedom of it. I mean, it's a myth that you have like Fridays off and whatnot. Like you actually work every day because you work for clients and then you work on your business and you never have enough time for yourself. Yeah, because you're a business owner, but you get to make all the decisions, right? And you get to shape the business however you want, and that's just amazing. Nothing beats that, right? Nothing beats bringing your vision to life in the world and then actually making it profitable. And so basically just scaling what I do now into an agency.
Correct. And do you want to keep it to the US or you want to have it scale like to the globe?
I already have global clients. Yeah. So it will definitely be global, and I hope to be more global in the future too and travel more.
And how do you think like having clients from the different parts of the world impact the business strategies, the thing that you work? So do you think it differ from country to country or it's like similar kind of a thing that the clients need?
In marketing, I mean, everyone I've worked with in other countries are selling to the US. It's the main market, and so it doesn't change a lot. Like, you know, you need to be aware of like customs and, you know, etiquette when you work with global clients because that changes a bit, right? But they're primarily selling to US clients, so I think the strategy doesn't change a lot.
Yep. So I think we are done with our questions. So thank you so much, Auroriele, for joining in. It was really lovely to know you and to know your story. And wish you all the best for the agency.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you.